Hello, hi, welcome to Sai Institute of Education. You're with Sam. Today we're gonna learn something new, right? Now I have been told by many of my students as well as a couple of Christians that how we can use connectors, right? Now what's happening is when we are speaking in English, right? This is lecture actually gonna be focusing on speaking a little bit of writing as well. Right? Now, people have been saying that when I speak in English, I sometimes don't get the right words to connect my statements. So we are looking at the connectors, right? How we can use those connectors. That's what we're going to be doing today. Role of connectors. We'll be understanding today what kind of connectors do we have, in which situations we use them, right, and how effectively we can use them. There are few things that we'll be looking into and we'll be learning very slowly. We'll be doing it today, not to rush. Now, when you are actually starting to learn a language, you begin it by creating some kind of short phrases, right? Short sentences like, um, I like coffee. Like, for example, you can say, I like coffee. Then the next step is just learning that kind of phrase, in terms of linking two sentences together. Like, I like, I like coffee and tea. Right. So that particular and, that is a connector, which is joining your sentences. This is normally in depth if we are understanding that it's known as complex sentence when you're actually using some conjunction to join your sentences together. Right. So this is what we'll be understanding. Now there are many connectors, right? But we'll be looking at in depth. There are a couple of connectors that I have written over here, in terms of addition, in terms of time, in terms of sequence, contrast, condition, reason, and your result. Right. Now, addition is something obviously when you're joining two or more things together. Right. For that, we'll be doing addition. Time means definitely when you're talking about a time, like, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow what kind of going to do. So, what kind of connectors we can use that? Sequence. Whenever you have to speak on a list, this is very necessary, right? Because majority of the topics that we speak on as some sort of list, like you definitely end up by speaking more than one point. So for that, you can use the sequence term. Then you have the contrasting, right? You're contrasting two things. You're putting up a condition, giving a reason, what kind of conjunctions, connectors you can use over here, and definitely result. What's the outcome that we will look at. Okay, so let's go in depth today. Now let's begin with the addition, right? What kind of addition connectors that we are looking at? Now this, let's say we got and, we got also, right? We got as well as, right? We got besides, right? Then we can also say apart from that or this, we can also say on top of that, moreover, in addition to this, right? So these are few connectors that you can use. There are also others like what is more, further, more, all that stuff. Right. Let's make an example. They like learning English and study a lot. They like learning English and study a lot. So if I don't use this connector, right, this is also conjunction. If I don't use this, it comes out to be two simple sentences, right? They like learning English. Full stop. They study a lot. Right? So rather than that full stop, I'm just putting a connector here and study a lot. Okay, so this is how you can use. They like learning English and study a lot. This is the simple way that you can use a connector to join two sentences. Right. Now the second sentence, we can also hear, plus, that also can be spoken. Now with plus, let's make a sentence. He's well qualified, right? He's well qualified, plus energetic too, right? So we are talking about his work, right? What kind of effort does the person is putting? Is the person is putting, right? So he's well qualified plus energetic too. So that plus is what we are putting as a connector. So he's well qualified plus energetic too. Okay. So this is how we can use this connector. Now another sentence. Let's make another connector. And in addition to, right? We can say in addition to being energetic, he's quite qualified. So the same sentence. In addition to being energetic, he's quite qualified. Right. This is also one way we can speak. So I just used another connector here. In addition to, you can start this with this like connector in front, or you can put it in between as well. Right. So he's quite qualified in addition to being energetic. Right. That is also the other way we can write now or speak. Right. This is now another thing what we can make with, let's make with one more. Let's make with as well as, okay. So as well as being helpful, right? We can start from here. As well as being helpful, uh, Rose, as well as being helpful, Rose is quite practical, right? So as well as being helpful, Rose is quite practical, right? So she's helpful, right? As well as she's practical, right? So this is how we can just, these are some, as you can see, in addition, we're just adding two, three sentences together, right? So this is all about like when you're joining two, three sentences. Now, two, three sentences making a compound complex, let's say. We can say, um, my journal speaking, right? Well, how was your weekend, right? Well, my weekend went great, right? How was the weekend? Well, my weekend went great, right? Full stop. You know, I did a couple of things like playing football, cricket, and badminton, besides, right, helping my family in domestic chores, right? Household stuff, domestic chores, right? So, how was your weekend? Well, my weekend went great. I did a couple of things like playing football, cricket, and badminton, besides helping my family domestic chores. Right. So this is how now, yes, you can see, right? I was giving a little bit pause over here. Now, obviously, I can't just say playing football and cricket and badminton because that would be a repetition. Like utterly, we should not be doing it because it sounds very abrupt. So here, well, my weekend went great. I did a couple of things like play football, cricket, and badminton, besides helping my family household chores. So you did that, right? And beside you also did this for the last weekend. It went right. Great. We did slang in one of my videos, as you can see. Like we did slang of the sweet. Right. Well, my weekend went sweet. I did a couple of things like playing football, cricket, and badminton, besides helping my family with it. Okay. Well, it depends, obviously, if you can say, because we're talking about during this lockdown. There might be a couple of other things that you might have done. Okay, so I hope these are clear, like when it comes to adding few phrases, right? So whenever you're joining two sentences together, right, when you're adding few things, this is how it can be said. Another thing, for example, I always give this example, you know. So let's say, what kind of candies do you like? What kind of, right? What kind of candies do you like? So in speaking, right? In speaking generally, I'm just saying, not in writing. Okay, in speaking. Well, I am kinda, right, fond of toffees like mango, guava, pineapple, and orange. Right? So I'm just now here, as you can see, I just gave a list, but I said, well, I'm kind of fond of toffees like mango, guava, pineapple, and orange. Right? So I wouldn't be saying, like over here, I wouldn't be doing it as and all the time. And right? So it wouldn't sound very like as you can listen, okay? It will be like, well, I'm kind of fond of toffees like mango and guava and pineapple and orange. Right, and orange. That like I don't know, like why people also shake their head. Why? But it comes up to be, well, I'm kind of fond of toffees like mango, guava, pineapple, and orange. Right. So you can, while giving a pause, obviously you can think, because you're thinking and you're speaking. Well, orange, guava, pineapple, and apple. Wow. You can like this is how you could say and apple. How can I forget that? You can just add a phrase. How can I forget that? Okay, these kind of things you can speak. That would what we are doing basically. We're just maintaining our flow. So there is no any like fillers can come. Thing. That would sound. See, well, I am kind of fond of toffees like mango, guava, orange, like too many times. That's repeating, right? So don't do that. All right. Now that's pretty much about innovation. Now let's move on to time. This one here we come. Now let's say as soon as the first one, as soon as, when, while, right? When, while, or you can also use as here. Okay, these are connectors to describe your time. So let's start making sentences. When we arrived at the airport, right? When we arrived at the airport, there was a big, rather than big, let's say there was a long queue that we had to go through. Right. When we arrived at the airport, there was a long queue that we had to go through. Right. So when now let's make a sentence with while I was ironing my clothes. So the time, as you can see, while I was ironing my clothes, I was watching my favorite TV channel. So we're describing the time. The two things you're doing at the same time, right? If you're two things simultaneously, you're doing at the same time. So we're using while. While I was ironing my clothes, I was watching my favorite TV channel, right? While driving, right? You can say like while driving, I'll give you a call. Don't worry, right? So somebody's telling you that okay, give me a call as soon as possible, right? So that's why we say as soon as possible. Give me a call as soon as possible. Well, surely, like while driving, I'll give you a call. Don't worry, right? Don't panic. So this is the way that you can use, right? Now let's make with as, obviously because it is used as a conjunction. Give a reason. So we can make with this as let's say example. It started downpour as I went out my dwelling. Right. It started downpour. Downpour means heavy rainfall. Right. It's starting to rain. So it started downpour as I went out my dwelling. Dwelling means residence. So your home. Right. So it started downpour. Right. As I went out my dwelling. So time. Right. What happened? It was raining, right? It started to rain when I went out my dwelling. Okay? Now, the next, as soon as. I'll start the meeting. So it's depending on other things, right? As soon as everyone gets in the hall, right? I'll start the meeting as soon as everyone gets in the hall. So these are the time linkers. Okay, I hope this one's clear to everyone. Now let's move on with the sequence. Now I told just very specifically sequence are very important, right? Let's start with firstly or first and foremost. This remember n is basically and, right? First and foremost. I'll be sounding as first and foremost, right? That's why I have put hyphen here. which means this is one word. It's not one word, basically it's three words, right? First and foremost, FOREMOST, right? But I'm gonna sound as one word, so I'll be giving very short pauses here. First and foremost, first and foremost, right? So first and foremost, first and foremost. Firstly, you can say, right? Then obviously you have secondly or second, thirdly, besides, same thing, apart from that, right? You can use these. Then you can also have then, after, words, afterwards, finally, right? So next, you can also use next, right? So these are few. There are other also, like lastly, even finally, lastly, you can also call it a lastly. Okay. So these are the sequence. Now, sequence, I hope you have written firstly, secondly, thirdly, besides, apart from that, first and foremost, you can also say first and foremost, first and the most important. Why? That's what it means. First and the most important. First and foremost. Then afterwards, finally, or next, anything, you can just play around. Right? Let's make a sentence. See how it comes out to be. Very important. Very important. Now, questions comes like there are two types of questions that come, right? Generally asked by people. Let's say, what are your five, right? Uh, qualities. What are your five qualities? Or what are your qualities? Two type of questions, right? Now, as you can see, they both are same. The only difference is that here you have a specific number. In this question, you don't, right? So in this, obviously, five qualities is being asked. So what are you gonna do? You'll be obviously starting. Well, my first quality is, my first quality is, right? Secondly, thirdly, right? Then, right? And finally, fine. Right. So anything you can say. So for example, what are your five qualities? Well, my first is that I'm very hardworking. This is because then you can explain using expressions. We did explanation. How we can do it? By saying this is because, right? Or see, the thing is, right? That is to say, you can say the reason why I consider this is one, two, three, four, anything you can see. There are other expressions also that you can see, right? So, what are your five qualities? Well, my first is over here. I'm starting. Well, my first is I'm not going to make any other plural sentence. Why? Because a specific number is there. Remember this statement, okay? Well, my first is I'm very hardworking. This is because whenever I have been assigned any task to do, I always try to do it against the clock in order to save myself some time, right? Secondly, I'm very friendly, right? See, the thing is, I love being a social butterfly. I love talking to people, right? And believe me, because of this, I enhance my friend circle. Third, right? I have a leadership quality. I don't like, following others. I rather do something of my own so people can actually like it and they do and they can follow my instincts. Then, right? Then what else you can say? I'm kind-hearted, right? I have a tendency to lend a helping hand to whosoever requires the most, right? Sometimes I go even Where we can say, right, I go even an extra mile, right? I go even an extra mile means that doing something out of your own capability, right? Sometimes I go even an extra mile in order to lend a helping hand to others, right? And finally, right, then you can bring out your last quality. Quality could be, and finally, like I never hesitate in doing something. If I know that I have to finish it this day, come rain or shine, I make sure I do it. Come rain or shine means whatever difficulty may come, I'll just do it. So I'm so determined. Right? So this is how you can see easily I was able to speak. I used first, second, third, then finally. You can use either of them, the ones we did. Right? And then I explained by using one line. As you can see, I was giving result as well, right? I'm hardworking. Why? Because why? I like to do things against the clock. Why? So that I can save myself some time, right? Now this is basically to use your five qualities. Now let's say, what are your qualities? If this one asks and there is no number, right? Whenever there's no number, so definitely remember, always make a plural sentence first, right? I'll just work on this. A plural sentence could be, well, I have some qualities that I like to share with, yeah, right. So, well, I have some qualities that I'd like to share with you. First is, then same thing, right? Well, I have some qualities. Well, there are a couple of qualities that I do have, right? So these kind of sentences, plural sentence, plural, it has to sound plural. Well, there are a couple of them. Right? Well, I have multifarious, right? Multifarious, multifarious, right? It's never various, right? It's various, multifarious. Well, I have multifarious, right? So then you can speak. So, for example, what are the benefits of working, right, from home? Well, there are a couple. Now, what are the benefits of working from home? No number is asked, right? So we can start out. Well, there are a couple, right? Couple means obviously more than one. There you go. Then you can use the list. Firstly, this thing, because I find it very, convenient, blah blah blah. Secondly, this thing. See, the thing is that la la la. Third, this thing. Fourth, or then, and finally this. Now, the effectiveness of using these is because you as a speaker is differentiating between your points. As a listener, the person is also able to differentiate between the points. That's the purpose of using this sequence technique. And it sounds very interesting. Right. I hope these ones were clear. Contrast. When you're contrasting, you are contradicting the statement that is given, right? Or you are speaking something like, like advantages, disadvantages, positive, negative, and all that stuff. So we have a contrast to do. What kind of connectors that we can use? First of all, let's write them. What kind of connectors, right? Like but, however, right? You can also use although. People generally say although, yet, structure. There's no structure. Come on, right? Although, you can also use despite. When you're contrasting, you can also use whereas, because you're going to be doing comparison, right? Or you can also use while. Okay. Although, even though, anything you can use, right? So these few things we can talk. For example, but they like to eat pasta, but they don't like rice. They like to eat pasta, but they don't like rice, right? So don't even serve them, right? They like to eat pasta, but they don't like rice, right? So simple sentence, you can use but. I hope you have written but. Now, however, let's make a however. Um, I like to visit New Delhi oftenly. I like to visit New Delhi oftenly. However, I can never think of living there permanently, right? I like to visit New Delhi oftenly. However, I can never think of living there permanently, right? So instead of using but here, I've used however. Okay, I'm contrasting because I have a sentence, right? Now let's use with although. Remember, no although with but. Although yet, although but. Don't use it, please. Right? That's not good English. We can simply make although he works hard every day of his life, right? He hasn't got any promotion till date. Right. So how we can speak, how we can sound. See, when we are speaking, 98% people, right? They say, although he works hard every day of his life, but he hasn't got any promotion. No, don't use but okay. Simple sentence. Although he works hard every day of his life, he hasn't got any promotion till then, right? Of his life, right? Although he works hard every day of his life. Now over here, just give us comma. Like in writing, when we write, how do we write this sentence? Obviously, we put comma to contradict the statement, right? But in speaking, what is comma for? Comma is basically for short pause, right? So give a short pause. Although he works hard every day of his life, he hasn't got any promotion till then. Change your tone here, right? Vary your intonation, change your tone here. Although he works hard. So see the tone. Now I can't say although he works hard. Right? Although he works hard every day of his life, he hasn't got any promotion till then. Right? It doesn't sound that good. So just lower your speech here, lower your tone. Right? Although he works hard every day of his life, he hasn't got any promotion till then. Right? This sentence definitely sounds better when like you just increase your volume a little bit and you get high pitch over here, just vary your tone accordingly. Right? That's the effective method of using although. Now let's use despite. Despite heavy rainfall, I'm just making, right? Despite, like, when obviously when the rainfall is happening, right? Or rain, just simply use rain. Okay, let's say despite heavy rain, uh, just any name like Rupee went for shopping, right? Despite heavy rain, Rupee went for shopping. So obviously when we are writing, so we'll be putting comma here, right? So that's how you use despite, right? Despite heavy rain, Rupee went for shopping, Right? Oh my God, you should have stopped her. Well, she didn't listen. When it comes to shopping, obviously, you know what women are like, right? Women, not women. I told you many times, it's women, right? Not women, women. Okay. So despite heavy rain, Rupi went for shopping. Okay. Now this is how you can make sentences using that. Now let's make with whereas. Let's say we can make contrast here. Um, Kasoli always stays cold. Kasoli always stays cold, right? Whereas Morny Hills Morny Hills stay pleasant. So we're talking about the weather. Right? Kasoli always stays cold. Kasoli always stays cold, whereas Morny Hills stay pleasant. Right? So we used whereas here. You're talking about two things. Morny Hills, Kasoli, but what is we're talking about? Weather. Cold, pleasant. Right? So this is how you can use here. Now the last while with while we can say I thought the film I thought the film would be very entertaining. I thought the film would be very entertaining while my friends always right my friends were always against me. Right. I thought because I was thinking that the film was really good. My friends they always told me that the film is very bad. Let's just not waste our money. They were keep saying this, but I just didn't listen to them. Right. So I thought the film would be very entertaining, while my friends were always against me. Right. So these are some sentences that you can make. Okay. And this is how connectors are basically being used. Right. So today we have covered addition, sign, sequence, contrast. Right. Let's begin with condition, reason, result in the next video. Okay. I hope whatever I was able to teach you, you gained it. Right. Start making a couple of sentences, speak few sentences, see for yourself, like how it is benefiting you and what kind of phrases you can make. Start talking, discussing with friends. Right. There were a couple of phrases that you could use in writing as well. Okay. But do remember that although never use but or however with it. Okay. Just you need to work out with the tone. Right. Although I was very good in studies when I was in school, like I still never got that good marks. I don't know why, right? So use some kind of interjections in between. Like that this thing I'm using because I'm expressing, my like thing that I wasn't able to get that good scores, right? Although I become bookworm whenever it's time to hit the books, but sometimes like for some reason I just can't get the desired score, right? So that but as you can see, right, should be coming. I know it's been difficult, but if you even check on Google, you will see that we don't use but with although. Right? We don't use however, we don't use yet. These have all become I've had. Okay. So this was today's lecture, role of connectors. I hope it was good. Try practicing that sequence also. That's very imperative, right? And you have a very lovely weekend. Thank you so much. Science of Education, we deal in IELTS, right? There's constant lectures that have been running. academic as well as GT, and also we have some spoken classes, right? These are, we do one on one. Let me very blunt here, one-on-one, right? We do for 30 minutes every day. We speak, you basically, we have other experts also who will be doing the talking with, right? So whosoever is having some kind of difficulty in terms of expressing their belief, then give us an opportunity to show you how things work. All right. You have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Stay safe.